Okay, so language arts.
Language arts.
Language arts is a tricky subject for us.
Well, it's hard. And Zelly doesn't like it when things are hard and she can't get them because she is very used to things being easy.
I have no idea where she would get that.
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. She doesn't know anyone in her life like that.
Yeah. Yeah, hard things. They're hard. And everything
Who
else
would
is
even
easy.
bother
Why
with
would you do
that?
something that's hard? So when Zelly came out of government school level K,
She had a really good grasp of the alphabet, and she was beginning to show her frustration with the lack of consistency with rules. And I think I've pinpointed a lot of her language arts anxiety to being the reason she's so good at math. It's because there are no consistent rules. Every time she's taught a consistent rule in language arts, it is then broken right in front of her. And I think that just really frustrates her.
well, and you see that in a lot of things. Like she really, really likes finding structures and patterns in
Yeah.
history. And I'm even noticing that I've started doing music theory lessons with her, and she
Patterns.
loves the patterns and the structure.
Yeah.
And I feel really bad because I know there will come a time where we have to start talking about the people who break those structures,
Yeah.
and it'll make her very mad. I just
will
know that it will.
frustrate her. It will frustrate her immensely because she likes patterns, structures, and organizations. And the English language provides none of that, and it provides a lot of contradictory rules, and she just has a really difficult time with that. That being said, she, in the last 3 months, like, turned over a leaf where she's been making more progress than she has in the past, like, I think 5 to 6 months before.
And I remember doing that. Okay, so I'm dyslexic,
Yeah.
and so is my mother, my grandfather, my brother, and my sister. Like, it is
It
a
runs deep in the
family
family.
trait. So we have not had Zelly tested, but it's very clear
Yeah.
that
it's
she's
obvious.
dyslexic. I do not personally believe you need testing to prove things. I always like working off of, okay, to what end are you asking for an expert's opinion?
Yeah.
Is it
like-
going to change the way you behave? No.
Yeah.
I don't need a diagnosis to know that
Tell me she's dyslexic. I can.
it's obvious.
Yeah.
Anyways, so she started off the year working on Calvert's Language Arts Level 1 and hated it.
Hated it. It was torture from the beginning with her. And she acted like she was being tortured. So we struggled through that for a little bit. We supplemented it a lot with sight word cards. She ended up doing pretty good with the sight word cards. Like, even before we started doing Good and Beautiful Math, she was doing good with sight word cards. And she was doing not bad with the Scholastic Reader books. Like, we started...
And we started all the way down on Level A.
Well, and we
with the
started
Scholastic
wrong.
Readers.
We started with
Or we would
Scholastic
do it
Readers that were
differently.
too heavy or too advanced for her at first. And then we realized that and we went back. And then we got the Level A, and then that worked.
Well, and
out.
like the Calvert Readers,
That's what it was.
were
We
way
tried
too
to use
advanced.
the Calvert Readers, and boring. And that's another thing with her. A lot of children's learn to read literature is the word I'm going to use for lack of a better word, is just, here is a dog, here is a cat, this is a dog and a cat, here are some animals together. And like, even if she could figure out how to read it, it's a story that she has no interest in and doesn't want to read. She's looking at this saying, why am I reading this? Why am I spending the effort and like brain power and hurting my head and my self-esteem trying to read something that's so stupid? Yeah, there are dogs and cats.
And she actually, and it's one of the reasons that we switched to going really heavy into the flashcards.
Yeah.
Because if you took the story element out of it, then it was word identification and it was more of a game.
And silly sentence flashcards don't have to make sense because they're silly sentences. And so she can just read a silly sentence on a flashcard. And she gets that. She gets that it shouldn't make sense and it should hopefully make her laugh. And she did great with the sentence flashcards. She did better with those than she did with some sight word flashcards.
Oh, yeah.
Because when she'd read the sight word, she'd get hung up on this, I need to like focus on every letter and the sound it makes instead of thinking about how the word sounds make a word. But when she read the sight word sentences or the sentence flashcards, she'd focus
Her fluency
on,
got better.
Yeah, she was thinking about what's the word and how does the word fit, and that really helped her. And then we did Good and the Beautiful.
So we did Good and the Beautiful level K, which we thought
would be
back
to help her build a better foundation, because I think a big part of the problem was the government school foundation was just, it was a crummy foundation. Yeah, like they bulldozed the area and that was about it.
Well, and the funny thing is the Scholastic readers that we ended up using
were the same ones.
Were the same ones.
Used. She had photocopies of them. And it's like, how are you doing this so much worse?
But she didn't read any of them. Like the
she'd memorize
teacher
the
would
teacher
read it
reading
and she'd memorize
and she'd be able to recite them back.
And I remember doing that in school.
Yeah.
Because her memory's great.
Yeah, she can recite something back to you. And she's tricky that way too, because she can recite it back to you even if she's not paying attention. So I know in public school, that's all she was doing all day was like doodling on a piece of paper while the teacher was talking and then reciting back whatever the teacher had said. Because that was me in school.
Gotta love that eidetic memory. Okay, so she struggled through Good and Beautiful level K.
She struggled, but she did better with it. She hated it less than Calvert. And we did their stories different. Instead of doing the Good and the Beautiful stories, which were still...
She would hate.
She did not... Yeah, they were awful. But we found scholastic biographies.
They are lovely and beautiful and quaint and adorable. And that is not our kid.
She found them boring. She finds a lot of things boring. That's going to be a theme of this whole video, is our child is like...
easily bored. She ended up doing better with the Scholastic science readers and Scholastic history readers.
I was about to say, we started having her read these Scholastic reader biographies. And that she actually got into, because then we did, and we'll talk about this later when we talk about our history unit, but she'd tie them back to the history books we were reading and the different biography sets we'd read with those. And so then she had a reason to get into them. And when she has a reason to care, it changes the way she focuses on it. Which is why one of the things that, we've talked about doing and we're looking at, we worked on comic books. I got digital copies of some My Little Pony comic books. And we did those some days where it was...
Because she used to be really into My Little Pony, and now she looks back at that, and it's like,
now it's
sweetie, that wasn't that long ago that you liked that. And she's like, that is for
like,
babies,
This
Mama.
is for little girls. And I was like, that was 6 months ago, child. That's for little girls. But I think I'm going to try that again, maybe with physical comic books instead of ones on the iPad. I think that might have been a little hard for her, too. Just to change her mindset from the iPad to being something that would play at her to being able to read with. But I'm going to get her Avatar comic books.
Oh, she'll enjoy that.
Because she's super into Avatar.
They're not going to be at her reading level, but she'll enjoy it.
No, but that'll make it even better because she will, it'll provide her
to the
struggle,
challenge.
and we can do it together. And, if she reads the easy words and I help her with the hard ones, and it'll give her a story that she cares about knowing the answer to. You know, it's like, if you want to know what happened to Zuko's mom, you have to know how to read this.
So she finishes The Good and the Beautiful level K, and if we're honest, she didn't do a stellar job. It was hard, it was a struggle, but she finished.
She finished. She... yeah, like... But she did way better. Like, her confidence has improved. She did not end that, like, with... If you were to look at her self-tests that she took, you would think that this kid failed out of it. But if you were to look at her ability to read the Frog and Toad book, now compared to her ability to read, like, a Scholastic level A reader
At the beginning.
or even just 6 months ago, I think you would see such dramatic improvement that, like, that it would be significant to say that she excelled at it. And it's, you just have to think about where she started it from to compare it to, you know?
So, you guys finished level K, and you're now about halfway through level 1.
Yeah, even, yeah, about halfway. A little more than halfway? I don't know.
Maybe a little bit more than halfway.
I think it's a little more than halfway. I think we're about 3/4 of the way through. She was doing better through level 1. She got into a rhythm. She was doing a little bit better on it. It ended up getting a little complicated for her, to the point where once again she was getting super duper frustrated. And so we went back to Calvert. And we jumped right back into Calvert. What was it, level 1 again?
Yeah, so we went back to Calvert level 1, and we had stopped kind of in the middle. We had stopped at, like, basically the semester line.
Yeah.
And we picked it back up, and
she's going through it at a pretty good...
So they have 10 books, and she's currently on book 7.
Yeah.
And she'll
finish
it today.
She should be done today. And I think we're going to start book 8 today.
And the nice thing is, it was taking her forever to get through those books, and now they're like one a week.
Yeah, we can usually do about one a week. When we started, she was even like, she started it off almost doing like 1.5 a week. But
they get harder as you go.
They get harder, and she fights doing language arts because it is work. And
nothing else is work.
Hard work for her. And yeah, everything else is just like kind of having fun doing school, and it's a good time. And language arts is work. And it physically, like, you see her doing it, and she just like, she practically falls asleep at the table. She's just exhausted from the effort and drained. And it's like, you can tell that it is pulling on her to do it, and it is work. And so it's a lot of working against that. And so language arts, a lot of language arts is also a class on attitude and the way that our body affects our brain, and the way that it's learning how to approach things that we don't want to do, and that are hard for us.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good incorporation into that we should include as part of like our recap of the school year, is she's gotten really good at, we've almost turned this into a mantra in the last like month or so, where we've been saying, don't let our feelings control us, we are going to control our feelings. And we learn how to take that feeling of like soul-crushing dread and anxiety and I don't want to do this. Take a deep breath, swallow it down, muster up the courage to say, I am going to do this anyway. I acknowledge all of those feelings as being real and valid, and I am going to just move past them anyway and do it, and try really, really hard to do it with a smile on my face.
Because everything goes so much easier if you have a good attitude
Because
about it.
if you can make yourself smile through it, you will do a better job. If you can make yourself sit up straight and have a, I'm going to do this and it's going to be awesome attitude, then you will do it. And it might not be awesome, but it will suck less than if you approach it with a, I hate this attitude and I will do it, but I will cry all the way through. Because you have to do it either way, whether you're crying all the way through it or you're trying to, like, do it.
Be happy, peppy about it.
Yeah.
All right, so that's language arts.
That's language arts.